Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 6th of May. My name is Phillip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Pia.
And Gary, I'm back in the chair after a week away in sunny downtown Shanghai, and I must say that I thought Sally Zellman stepped into my chair and did a fantastic job. In fact, as I was watching it in Shanghai, I started to think to myself, gee, I better come back with some energy, some pumped up enthusiasm. Otherwise the viewers may be writing in, emailing in saying we want Sally back.
You recovered well also, Phil, from all of those beautiful soirees in those rooftop bars.
Well, I've got to tell you, Gary, viewers may remember that I was in Shanghai last year, back there for a property expo this year.
It's called a junket, by the way.
A property expo, actually. I was there for a property expo, left Melbourne on Monday, and then came back Friday morning. So it was a whirlwind visit, Gary, but I've got to tell you, to remind the viewers, 24 million people live in Shanghai in a geographic footprint that is smaller than Melbourne. So if you think about it, Australia's entire population, if we had them all living in Melbourne, that is the equivalent of Shanghai.
Now, given that I was working my backside off while you're hobnobbing it with all of the other big real estate agents from around Australia, what value did you bring back to our business from that trip exactly?
Oh, I don't think I brought any value back, Gary, but I had a great time. Had dinner at M on the Bund, which is the most incredible restaurant, Gary, that is owned by an expat Australian.
Really?
Who's also opened M on the Bund in Beijing.
Really?
And all I can say...
Can they do that in the Yarra? Will it still be on the... Could you call it that?
All I can say is most incredible meal, and this M on the Bund sits in the most kind of French classical building, literally overlooking the Bund and the incredible river. And we sat up there and ate and drank and ate and drank some more, and it was an incredible one of those lifetime experiences, Gary.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Phil. Let's talk about what's going on in real estate, because it was a pretty good weekend out there. Some very strong results, and my Saturday morning started off, Philip, in Fulton Street in Brighton East. Now have a look at this property. It's a very, very nice unit. It was a single level, Phil. We had a bit of competition at the auction. It was passed in and sold after a brief negotiation for $920,000.
What did you pass it in at?
I think we passed in about $870 or thereabouts.
Okay, well that's a great post-auction negotiation.
Yeah, it was good sale, and congratulations to the buyer and the seller alike. Phil, while I was there, you were just on your way to Ormond, to Ocean Street, I think.
Ocean Street. Well, I've got to tell you...
Ocean's 9.
No, this was Ocean's... It was number 9 Ocean, because I was about to say Ocean's 11, but no, that's the movie. That's the movie. Gary, lovely 1960s house, been in the same family hands for in excess of 40 years. A frontage in the old imperial terms of 50 by 120 feet in depth, north facing at the back. $1,305,000. I've got to tell you, Ormond is and particularly that part of Ormond, is a suburb and an area of choice, part of the McKinnon High School zone, Gary. So the demand was strong and the price was fabulous.
And Phil, you won't see that one published because it's undisclosed, but not for GPTV.
No, Gary, we've always said
VIP insight.
We've also always said GPTV is cutting edge and delivers all of the news behind the news, Gary.
You get the inside running if you're a viewer. Philip, in Brighton Road in Elwood, you successfully passed that in on Saturday. Tell us about that, because I think that's a great place.
What a great property. This is New York, or Soho, comes to Melbourne. This is a 3-storey, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, loft-style residence that can also be used as a business. This is incredible because it's part of an old factory that was converted to residential and commercial areas, and it is right in the heart of everything that the best to offer in Elwood has.
The price there, $750,000, Philip, I think is very reasonable.
I think so too.
In Olinda Street, there was a property passed in there as well.
Yep, called Glen Bricker for this one, because this is a ripper. Hard to find now a single-fronted semi in South Caulfield, really under $750,000. So this one fits the bill. That'll go quickly, Gary.
Phil, I was in Shuba Road at a unit there. It was a lovely unit, and gee, there were a lot of bidders for it. What a fantastic property, this one. The reserve on the day was in and about the vicinity of $650,000, Phil, but gee, strong competition. It ended up selling for, I think it was $725,000.
Yep. Well, let's talk about the market, Gary, before we keep reviewing other properties. This was really the first biggish weekend weekend off the back of the school holidays and Easter and long weekends. So for those viewers that have been looking online saying, where have all the listings gone? They're coming back big time this week. I know that we're releasing a lot of stock this week.
We've got a lot of auctions, we've got a lot of new properties starting.
Correct. So the next weekend is relatively quiet for us, but we're really building rapidly after that because most agents haven't released stock because of the school holidays. So it's really going to pick up from here. When we talk about the weekend's results, there were quite a lot of auctions, Gary. Now there was an industry clearance of 70%.
Yes, Philip.
And in the interest of making our results look great, we actually had a 67% clearance, but we round that up now to the next figure. So in essence, the industry had a 70% clearance rate, and if we round up our 67 to 70, then we also had a 70% clearance rate for the weekend.
That's a nice one, Phil. Nice little manipulation of statistics there, although I think you won't need to, because I think the industry standard will drop a bit too, because there's a lot of unreported auctions that will probably be back on par.
Interesting that, Gary, because we put up, when we put up our towers, we put up the towers on the first round of auction results. And what viewers need to know is that
no towers today.
As the week goes by, the Real Estate Institute of Victoria, which is where we get our results from, as they call the agents that didn't report results, that generally gets scaled back a bit. So if the REIV's result of 70%, they'll probably scale theirs back to 66%.
Maybe 66.5.
So once again, we've probably beaten the industry average.
We're just so good. Let's talk about a few other results, shall we? Philip, Sunday morning I started off in Fulton Street, a wonderful single level unit there. I thought we'd get some good interest there. The reserve was $750. It absolutely went off like a New Year's Eve fireworks display, Philip, in Shanghai. It sold for $800. It would be $800, Philip, and $86,000.
And congratulations to Daniel Reese, who did a great job. That's part of an area of Caulfield that Daniel specialises in, so well done to Daniel.
That was a beauty, Phil. Now, Sunday, there was more than that auction, Phil. We went off afterwards to that wonderful auction that you conducted in Victoria Street. Tell us a bit about that. The price is undisclosed for all and sundry.
What a shame, because there were a couple of hundred people at that auction.
Well, put it this way, I mean, the quote was over $2,000. And it sold for substantially over $2,000. We can say that because
what a great
no
house
secret there.
On 1,200 square metres of land in what I think is one of the best streets of Elstonwick.
Yes.
The gardens across the road, the tram and the cafes on the doorstep. So that was hotly contested really by two parties. There were three others there ready to give it a go, but these two parties set the pace, Gary. The others didn't get a chance to bid.
There was a third
good
bidder,
result.
but very briefly. 37 Bialaba Road, Philip, that one didn't sell,
no,
but
it didn't.
Still on the market.
I passed that in at 1,105,000, later offer of 1,150,000. Vendor's reserve there is 1,295,000. That is a really good home in obviously one of the best streets of Caulfield South.
Phil, after Victoria Street, we ventured on up to Orong Road, another magnificent home, a site that GPTV was run from last week in your absence. Pretty interesting auction actually. A number of buyers there. We had a buyer there at 2 million, another buyer at 2.1 million, and another buyer at 2.2 million. So we did have three bidders there. A number of parties wanted to buy that home, and it is a beautiful home. And so there should be a number of parties, and not a huge gap. In fact, you never know, Phil, it could go on the next day or two.
With a reserve there of 2,295,000.
Pretty close.
We will hopefully put that together in the next few days, I would have thought. But great house.
69A Teague Street, Philip, that was a competitive auction, sold for $780,000. A terrific property, great location. And the other property that was sold on the weekend, although the price is undisclosed, was in Marvho Street, Philip, in Bentley. And well done to Leor Samuel selling that. Phil, before we get on to this weekend's auctions, tell us a little bit about the house that we're at right now,
Gary,
here at Seymour Road.
I love this house. Number 95 Seymour Road, Elstonwick, is the most sensational house.
It may be, Phil, but we're at number 75 at the moment. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that one, because 95 might also be good.
Do you know
but
what?
This one's
if
great.
the vendor for number 95 Seymour Road, Elstonwick, is looking at GPTV, we'd love to get your house to the market.
We don't have it for sale at the moment.
No, viewers, do not go to 95. Come to number 75. Gary, 75 Seymour Road, Elstonwick would have to be one of the best houses of its type. And congratulations to the vendors who have just done the most incredible renovation here, Gary.
They have.
You know, you've got the perfect period facade. You've got polished timber floorboards throughout. You've got the most gorgeous, drop-dead, fabulous bathroom. In fact, I spent a bit of time in there this morning, and it's pretty stunning. But they've done a great job here, Gary. So we've got the street.
Yep.
We've got the perfect house. We've got a north orientation to the garden.
Which is very nice and private, lovely garden.
Everything about this house is stunning. Get
Yep.
on down and have a look at this home because it's a ripper.
If you don't know Seymour Road, well, I lived on the next street. Adam Josky, who's handling the sale with Joel Sir, lived in this street. This is about as good as it gets for real estate. You've got Harleston Park in the centre, got Huntley Road up the street. It is a magnificent piece of
one
real
of the
estate,
top
Phil.
5 streets of Elsternwick, I
Doesn't
reckon.
get much better.
Yeah.
Many say the best, and I wouldn't argue with that either. But let's talk about what's coming up this weekend, because this one's a couple of weeks away. This weekend, Phil, not a particularly busy one.
No, I had a look at the auction list. We don't have a lot this
We
weekend.
don't,
We've
Phil?
got a busy May, but interestingly, there are 5 auction weekends in May.
Yes.
So viewers often really the budget for months is really that there's most months there's 4 weekends, but this one we've got 5 weekends.
Still going to be a busy month and some good stuff this weekend, Phil. Starting off on Saturday, Philip, I am going to be conducting an auction of a fantastic property in Hawthorne Road, 493 Hawthorne Road in Caulfield South, the corner of Olinda Street. Now, this is a lovely semi-detached period home, Philip. It's in terrific order. It's got great spaces. It's just a move straight into property. Looking forward to auctioning this one.
Great spot there too. Walk to the new cafes that have just opened up the road.
And how many are there? We haven't been to Turquoise yet.
No, we haven't. No, but it looks great. Looks great.
Looks terrific.
So you can walk there, walk to Princes Park. Great location there.
Looking forward to that one, Phil. Philip, Saturday at 1:30 p.m, we're going to be auctioning an apartment in Fulton Street, St Kilda Reese. This is a beauty. Tell us a little bit about it.
Gary, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space, a really good apartment, beautifully renovated inside. And Fulton Street's a great spot. It comes off Hotham Street,
yes,
in the vicinity of Dandenong Road, so geographically perfect spot.
2:30 on Saturday, Philip. Jeremy Rosen's bringing down the curtain in Bambra Road, number 288 Bambra Road in Caulfield South. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Gary, you know, this is a really good house. 2 or 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, off-street car parking for 2 cars, really deep back garden, a great opportunity to get into the marketplace in a great part of South Caulfield.
Pretty quiet Saturday, Phil. That's it. On Sunday, if you're wanting to take mummy out for lunch, Sunday, you can buy a house before then, because we have an auction in Rosemont Avenue at 10:30 a.m. And how about this property, Phil?
Well, Rosemont Avenue, Gary, is one of the best streets of Caulfield.
Caulfield North, thank you.
Runs off Balaclava Road and meanders its way down and ends up in Yannaki, which is not too far from your house, Gary. We will not give your address away over GPTV. We'll leave that for another time. But Rosemont Avenue is a great property because you've got a really good sized parcel of land and a really good home that you can move straight into or further update as your budget allows. But really great family living in Rosemont Avenue. You just can't get a better address.
It's a tightly held street, Phil, and certainly features lots of beautiful homes. Number 10 is one of them. We're looking forward to 10:30 a.m. on Sunday.
I've got the honours there, Gary.
Do your stuff, Phil.
Yep.
And that is a wrap for this week, Philip. We're coming into the winter months. It's getting a bit chilly, but there's still no cold air with real estate. It's warm, and in some situations, even hot, wouldn't you say?
Well, Gary, it is hot, and just want to give the viewers a little bit of what I learnt in Shanghai.
Yes.
One of the reasons that there are a lot of people in China wanting to buy real estate in Melbourne or Australia, in fact, came down to a couple of things, and I heard this time and time again. Interestingly, when you buy a property in China, you don't buy freehold, you actually buy leasehold. So when you buy a property in China, you get a lease for 70 years. So you actually only own it for 70 years. What happens at the end of 70 years? I'm not sure that the government has yet determined as to what they do, but you only get leasehold. So the Chinese people looking at Australian real estate are saying, wow, we get freehold, which means we can own it forever. That's a huge attraction. One of the other huge attractions is the quality of our air. Now, for those of you that haven't been to China, Shanghai is probably not the dirtiest air in China. I'm told that Beijing, the air in Beijing is significantly worse than Shanghai. But a lot of people are now saying, you know, we're worried about the environment in China and it doesn't hurt for us to buy property overseas. So we're interestingly hearing a lot about that at the expo. It was all about the leasehold. It was about the quality of Australia's environment.
Yes.
And that's an interesting comment. So we are really blessed, Gary, to live in one of the most beautiful and one of the cleanest countries of the world.
And of
So
course,
interesting stuff.
And of course, Philip, one of the wonderful things about being around real estate agents in winter is it doesn't get cold because there's a lot of hot air as well as clean air, isn't
Gary,
there?
you are so funny.
Oh, I am. Look, comedy's my second string, Phil.
Yep.
Real estate comes first. One other thing, though, Phil, I think viewers may be interested in knowing is that all of our properties that are on our internet
Yep.
are now featured on not one, but two major Asian websites.
So, and that was another reason to explore that space,
Yes.
is that everybody that lists with us now, assuming that they take the correct internet package that
yeah.
we've got, go on to MyFun,
Yes.
which is being now heavily marketed out of Hong Kong and also in mainland China. That's a company that's owned by realestate.com or the REA group, and they're really pushing hard into China. And Gary, we're also listed with another website called GFun. So we've only just gone live with that recently, and that does push heavily into mainland China.
And of course, our Mandarin speaking sales lady in Judy Zhao. So
Yeah.
we've actually got the Asian market covered, we think,
we
pretty
do,
well.
we do.
And,
we do, Gary.
and there's certainly a big influence and a big push from Asian buyers. There's no question that they're out there at our auctions, performing weekly and getting involved in the local market.
So it's a big world out there,
It
Gary.
is.
Whilst we are obviously specialists in our local area and we know the market back to front, we're always looking to see what else we can do. And certainly, as I travel more and more to Asia,
Yes.
it's
And
going
more
to,
junkets
it's
while
going-
I work hard,
It's going to open,
carrying the business.
It's going to open interesting marketplaces for us. Well, I think that's a wrap for GPTV for this week, Gary. It's been a busy week. Next weekend, as we've talked about, is a
busy
quiet
week for
one.
me, yeah.
A quiet one, but May is going to be a very strong real estate month. So we look forward to seeing you next week on GPTV. My name is Phillip Kingston. Have a great week.
I'm Gary Peer. Bye now.